Hello everyone. Our topic for library this month is fantasy. Fantasy is something what we all wish to happen in our lives but unfortunately doesn't. Whenever we hear the word fantasy, we remember different stories like J.K. Rowling's Harry Potter, The Game of Thrones book by George R.R. Martin and many more. But here, we Gloriosans are going to present some new stories, drawings, book reviews and lot more with all of you. So sit back and enjoy our fun-filled presentations.
Hi, I am Aditi R. Pillai from Eight Glorious and I am going to be reading a story that I wrote by myself called Fantasies. Once upon a time, many millennia ago, magic was of course common. Ever since the discovery of magic, people feared that the magic would be misused. Those who could control their magic more than the average person misused it for their own personal profit and enjoyment, and so soon the situation got out of hand. If the magic was closely monitored, it could have been used for purposes much greater than what it was currently being used for. The fair use of magic by the general public was a topic that caused major uproar among the people. Some people argued that if they were not allowed to use magic as they liked, then it was a breach of their freedom. Other people quarreled that the magic should be treated as any other privilege and may be used, but that fair rules on how they may be used must be imposed. However, a larger amount of people agreed that magic was too dangerous to be handled and must be eradicated. And so began the search for someone who could convince all the population, or at least a vast majority of it, that magic must be eliminated from Earth, and at the same time was powerful enough to end magic for good. Such a person was not easy to find, as a majority of the powerful spellcasters were immoral and did not agree to the removal of magic from Earth, as that would only affect them adversely. Due to this and many other obstacles, the search for such a person went on for a long time. Finally, they met a person who fulfilled all their conditions. This person was a writer, and his power was to make anything he imagined into a reality. That was the way the writer assured that his stories would be enjoyable to read, by testing out the stories as a reality and then reversing them to write the events down. The writer's powers were perfect for the removal of magic from Earth. The writer agreed to erase magic from the earth, and so, without much discussion, he was given full responsibility over the removal of magic. The writer began writing a world without magic and tried his best to make it as realistic as possible. Soon, the day of the eradication of magic came. The writer promised the rest of the people that when he removes magic, he'd write a bright new future for them. However, before the eradication, the writer made one last decision and said, "If magic is to be removed from Earth, I shall create a new type of stories in memory of it. It shall be called fantasy. Even if people in the future do not experience magic in front of their eyes, they shall be exposed to it by their own imaginations." And with that, the magic disappeared from Earth, only remaining as what we now call fantasies. Thank you.
A Game of Thrones tells us an epic tale of honor and treachery, love and vengeful hatred, intrigue and heroism set in a world where summers and winters can last for years, even lifetimes. The story fashions itself around the Stark of Winterfell, a family whose legacy is one of the stiff-necked honor. Winter is coming, says the House of Stark motto, and that is nowhere more true than in the cold northern reaches of the Seven Kingdoms, where trees have faces and devils born with children themselves bound to fate. Winterfell lies just south of the wall that separates the Seven Kingdoms from ancient forested wastes. Beyond that wall, supernatural powers as old as the land itself are massing, posing a greater threat than anyone can conceive of. When Robert's Baratheon's right-hand man dies, he makes the long journey not to ask his old friend Lord Eddard Stark of Winterfell to become the new hand. Lord Stark dislikes what Rowling has made of the man whose throne he helped win, and distrusts the Queen and her entire house, but honor dictates that he agrees. One of the young Stark children witnessed something he shouldn't have seen of the visiting royalty and nearly pays with his life. His grave condition makes the House Stark family divided. Eddard and his two daughters journey south to the royal court. Lady Catelyn stays at Winterfell with their three sons, and Eddard's son Jon Snow, the unwelcome company to the Lady Stark, leaves Winterfell to take the oath of service in protection of the wall. Lady Catelyn receives a message from her sister, who claims that her husband, the Dead Hand, was murdered at the Queen's orders. On the heels of that comes a murder attempt on her recovering middle son. and a blade that implicates the Queen's House of Lannister. Leaving her eldest son in the charge of the keep, Catelyn travels incognito to present the blade to Eddard so that he might find the truth of the matter. On her return journey, she chances to meet the Queen's younger brother, a dwarf whose weapon the blade was. Catelyn seizes the imp, taking him to her sister's stronghold built atop a sheer rock face in the mountains. Catelyn's action sets in motion wheels with already turning wheels, and the House of Seven Kingdoms will find their loyalty stoned and themselves at war. In a very different land across a narrow sea, the last of the Targaryen, whose reign Robert and Eddard toppled, gathers her strength to return the House of Dragons to power in the Seven Kingdoms. Thank you.
The Alchemist is a book written by the world-famous author Paulo Coelho. The Alchemist follows the journey of a young shepherd boy on his path to finding out his destiny. He had left his parents at a very young age to visit new places as a shepherd. He has a dream one fine day in which a young boy is playing with a sheep and shows him that there is treasure within the pyramids of Egypt. This was the second time he had this dream. He travels across water and desert to find his treasure. On his way, he meets the king who tells him that this is his destiny. An alchemist on his way to finding his own destiny. And the true woman he loved. At the end of the story, he finds the hidden treasure in a very unexpected place. The book is one of the best books I've ever read. It gives us hope about the end of the pandemic. Thank you.